Can you hear the fault in this melody? If you couldn't hear the fault, don't worry, that's what you're about to learn. And more importantly, you'll learn our rule for fixing this fault in the melodies you've already written and avoiding it in the melodies you'll write in the future. But first, tea.
Hello revolutionary music makers, I'm Kate Harmony, this is Ray Harmony, and welcome to Hack Music Theory.
The fast, easy, and fun way to make music.
If you're new to theory, or if you just want a refresher, then read our free book, 12 Music Theory Hacks to Learn Scales and Chords.
You'll be able to instantly apply these hacks to your songwriting and producing. So head on over to hackmusictheory.com right after this lesson and download your free PDF.
Alright, it's time to open your DAW to Hack Music Theory.
Firstly, just to clarify, a fault is not a mistake. A fault is a weakness, in other words, an area for improvement.
So, what's the fault in this melody? Well, the melody's range is too small. The range of a melody is the interval from its lowest note, which in this example is C, to its highest note, which in this example is F. So in this melody, that distance is only 5 semitones. You can count that on one hand. That's small.
Listening to a melody with a small range is like listening to a person talking who does not vary their pitch. It's monotonous, which gets boring. So, just like in speech, a big range will bring interest and life into your melodies.
And by the way, our example is in the key of F Lydian, which is all the white notes from F to F, and the tempo is 90 BPM.
And if you're not familiar with the uplifting but quirky Lydian mode, you can use the mode hack in our Songwriting and Producing PDF.
Okay, so now that you can identify the fault, how do you fix it? Well, it's shockingly easy to fix, as you simply need to move the MIDI notes up and down to extend your melody's range. In practice, however, it's a little more tricky than that. So here's our step-by-step method for creating a big range in your melodies.
Step 1. Start by deciding where the climax of your melody will happen. In other words, the highest note. Using the concept of counterpoint, we suggest playing your melody's highest note of your bass line's lowest note, or at least one of its lowest notes. We chose to play our highest note over the first chord, F major.
Step 2. Once you know where your highest note is going, you need to decide on what that note will actually be. A good place to start is with the 3 of your chord below, because the 3 is the most powerful note. For example, over an F major chord, the 3 is the note A.
And if you don't know why the 3 is the most powerful note, read Hack 9 in our free book.
And obviously you don't have to use the 3 as your highest note, it's just a good note to get your creative juices flowing. We actually used the 2 as our highest note, so over the F major chord, that's G.
Step 3. Next, do the opposite. Decide on where the lowest note of your melody is going and what it will be. We suggest playing your melody's lowest note over your bass line's highest note, or at least one of its highest notes.
Step 4. Now that you've got your highest and lowest notes in place, you can create a flowing contour to join them up. If you want a big jump in your contour, that's awesome, but use those large intervals very sparingly, as they can be overwhelming. For most of your melody, you'll want to use smaller intervals.
Right, now you're probably wondering, what's the ideal range for a melody? Well, just like every person in the world is different, every melody is different too. So while there's no one-size-fits-all range that's ideal, you'll know when your melody's range is too small because it will be boring and lifeless. And you'll know when your melody's range is too big because it will be really difficult to sing. Somewhere between those two guidelines is where you'll find the ideal range for each melody. And yes, your melody should be singable even if you're writing it for synth or guitar or some other instrument. Great melodies are singable melodies, always.
So to conclude, our melody range rule is that your melody must have a big enough range to keep it interesting and full of life, but not too big so that it's hard to sing.
Lastly, if you need more help writing melodies, then simply use our melody checklist, which tells you exactly what to do and what not to do in your melodies. The melody checklist can be found in our Songwriting and Producing PDF.
Thanks so much for being here in the Hack Music Theory community. You are truly valued, and we're excited to hang out with you again soon.